Welcome back. My colleague Amarachi Ubani was at the just concluded AU Summit in Sandton, Johannesburg, South Africa. And she says the main focus was on women development, as the female gender is expected to play a major role in the implementation of Agenda 2063.
The African Union has been working on how to fulfill its goals of complete economic development by the year 2063. While strategies and plans of implementation are being discussed before the heads of state and government meeting this weekend, they're also discussing gender equality and the participation of women in decision-making on the continent. Though many think the target of 2063 may be a long way ahead, the AU chairperson, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, is confident implementation process will not be business as usual.
Agenda 2063 is a practical. So in the next 10 years, you will see a lot of young people being skilled, because we are going to be embarking on a skills revolution. You are going to see a lot of productivity in agriculture, modernization in agriculture and agribusiness. You're going to see a lot of infrastructure, energy, roads, rail. You are going to see increased intra-African trade.
And if there ever was a time when the contribution of women is needed in Africa, it is now. Former Malawian President Joyce Banda says having women in leadership positions reduces conflicts, thereby providing an enabling environment for development.
You find that often when women lead, they avoid conflict. I will give you an example of myself. I could have fought the elections and challenged them, but people could have died. Wherever you find post-election conflict, it's because one party refused to accept. In my case, was it Malawians first, or was it my stay in State House that mattered? For me, I chose Malawians. My name is Bettina.
Non-governmental organizations such as Greenpeace and Action Aid insist implementation of gender equality and women empowerment must begin immediately. They say it's time to hold leaders accountable to their word. On the other hand, they're already taking steps towards empowering women in agriculture.
If we have good investment, if we have proportional investment that so far has been going mainly to so-called industrial agriculture, which we call chemical-intensive agriculture, if we can give a proportion of that to support smallholder organic farmers, women in particular, we will see better yields and better return on investment and more money in the pockets of women.
The projections have been quite positive for Africa in the coming years, if all goes according to plan, and when leaders round up discussions this weekend, many will be looking for the promised change.
Now, Amarachi Ubani caught up with Ereka Burnett, the head of mission AU Diaspora Africa Forum, who organized an award ceremony where the AU-DAF honored women of excellence. She explains what motivated the award ceremony.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Watching women being honored by fellow women in Africa, how does that feel?
Well, we have such phenomenal women in Africa, and the AU has declared this the year of an empowerment for women. And so we just felt that this was a good opportunity, and during the AU Summit is this week, to really celebrate women. And so we're just so excited about it. It was just, I am just overwhelmed at the kind of women that came out. You know, we celebrated Winnie Mandela, Madame Zuma of the AU, Gracia Machel, and my favorite, Chief Dorothy Anyamo-Sigwe. These were women who were considered living legends. And of course, Ellen Sirleaf Johnson, who is our first elected female. So, I mean, how can we not celebrate women of that level and caliber?
And it seems timely too, because over the years, it seems women have been ignored or relegated to the background, even though we are referred to as mothers and incubators?
Well, we're the producers. You see, a lot of times I say to women, you know, when we have chauvinistic sons and that, we create these chauvinistic sons. I have a son and I'm always trying to balance, you know, him in terms of, you know, that's not a woman's job, that's a person's job. So I think that we create it. We're the producers. We produce these men. So I think that we need to begin to really look at that too. We had women, we had two categories. We had one category which was the women of excellence, and these were women from all walks of life. We had doctors, we had Justice Kobe, Justice Victoria Kobe, who you know have done so much for the women's movement in Nigeria, and we honored her. And then we have Dr. Twakli from Nigeria. I'm specifically saying the two Nigerians that we had. We had three Nigerians. Mama, she got it in the Living Legends category. And then we had Dr. Twakli, Juliet Twakli, who's just a phenomenal woman, just phenomenal. And she happens to be our vice chair for our organization as well. So we celebrated her, and then of course Justice Okobi. So these were three women, Nigerian women, that we celebrated with honor, and I was just so overwhelmed. And we didn't really realize we were going to get the kind of response that we did, but we got a tremendous response. And Mama Winnie Mandela, she got off her sickbed to come and be with us. So, and then Mama Kenyatta from Kenya, she sent her daughter-in-law, the president's wife, to accept it on her behalf. So we were just overwhelmed, and you know, we did this in 2 months. So we were just overwhelmed at the results and the excitement, and I think people went away feeling that they wanted to celebrate women even in a more effective way.
And do you feel that generally women make better leaders? Because I was speaking to the AU chairperson, Dr. Dlamini Zuma, and she said that a lot of issues, that there are a lot of achievements now that the AU has a woman as the chair. So would you say a lot of things have really changed? A lot of things are better now in the AU?
There's a sensitivity that we women have. I mean, we're mothers, we're wives, we're teachers, so there's a sensitivity that we have. And I mean, we don't want wars by any means, because we're the ones that get affected. Our women and children are affected more so than anybody else when there's a war. You know, we lose our husbands, we lose our sons. So I think that there's a sensitivity that we have. And I think that carries in everything that we do. I really, really do. And I think today what we did was we celebrated each other. It was a celebration of incredible, fantastic women.
And before now, it seems women have taken the back seat, allowing the men to lead.
Well, I think that, you see, politics is dirty. I mean, sometimes it's not as nice, and it becomes you have to have a lot of money, it seems, to go into politics. So I think we kind of shy away from that because of that. But I'd like to announce to you that one of the other things that we're going to do is that we're going to start an organization called Elect Her in Africa, where what we're going to do is that we're going to raise funds for women, we're going to do training for them, and really, really groom women to become leaders. We want to create some more presidents in Africa, female presidents in Africa. You know, we only have one. And we want to have more female presidents and vice presidents, and you know, and I think that that's what's going to make the difference in Africa. I really do. You know, I'm not a feminist. Let me make sure you understand that. You know, I know we need men. Women need men to be balanced. I think it's very important. I have some incredible men in my life, incredible men, Nigerian men in my life.
It sounds to me like you're saying being a feminist is a bad thing.
Well, I think that everything has to have balance, you know, and I just said that in terms of, I'm not, because most of my best friends are men, you know, and, you know, you'll be talking with Dr. Juliet. She's in the women's club, that's what I call them, you know, and she has done a lot in that area. You know, most of my work has been really with the diaspora, you know, because I really believe that the role of the diaspora, those who've studied outside, and these are Africans now. We're not saying, you know, we're saying African diaspora. It's very important that, you know, we're not saying everybody come back, but we're saying look back. There's something that everybody can do. One of the things that we've done with our little mission in Nigeria, in Ghana, is that we've built a school, we have an orphanage, and these are things that diasporians have done. They've given us money to do all of those kinds of things. We've done a lot of cultural exchange programs, that kind of thing. So that's really have been my passion and my mission.
When I spoke to former Malawian President Joyce Banda, she said, where you have women in areas where there's conflict, there's less conflict in those areas where you have women as leaders.
Well, there's women like Binta Diop, who's doing incredible with her FAS organizations, and, you know, she's going all over the continent, you know, encouraging women to get involved in the peace movement. You know, so there's a lot of things that's happening, but I think we need to do a little bit more.
But what other role can women play in conflict resolution in Africa?
Well, I think we can just be very serious with our husbands and our sons in terms of, you know, saying, you know, we're not going to allow this to happen in our country under our watch. You see, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Like in the United States, when we had some conflict not too long ago where the police, they were killing, you know, young black men. One of these mothers saw her son out there with a mask on, and she went and beat him. She really beat his behind. She really did. And the newspaper caption was, you know, don't send in the troops, send in the moms, you see. So, and I think, because we want peace, and I think that we need to really be very serious about it and really, really deal with it on a real level.
But have women been too afraid to take up positions of authority?
Well, I don't think that they're afraid. I think that a lot of times we don't have the opportunity. Because first of all, you know, to run for, look at how much money was spent in your election. You see, how many women can really garner that kind of money to run for offices? And that's why I think that what we want to start is this Elect Her in Africa is going to be so important. You know, it's very much like the Emily's List in the United States. Are you familiar with the Emily's List? Okay, Emily's List it was an organization started by Hillary Clinton and some other senators, and that's all they do. They raise money for women, they give training for women, and that kind of thing. So we really want to do something like that to really help empower women. You see, one of the things that we did with this particular celebration was there's two ladies that we really celebrated who are under a lot of pressure right now, and the one, Saida Agrabi from Tunisia. Saida has done incredible things for women all over Africa. Her only crime was she was involved with the former president. She was close to him. That was her only involvement. You know, she never stole anything, she never did anything, and now she's in France and she cannot leave the country. And one of the saddest things was her son died. She couldn't even go back to Tunisia to bury her son. And so we saw this as a way of celebrating her and encouraging her. And you should see how she is called, and she's so excited, and it happened at a time when she really needed it. Her son died three months ago. So the point I'm making here is that we as women have got to take stands. You know, we've got to say and support each other. You see, whether it's popular or not, you know, and I think when people understand and realize that we have that kind of support, it does make a difference.
And that's Diplomatic Channel this week. Many thanks for watching. Please send in your questions and comments to any of the addresses showing on your screen. I'm Temitope Fagbemi.